Alright guys, this is Derek with Firehouse Bowfishing, and we're going to do this week's episode of Cajun Pro Tips. So I got the Winch Pro here with us, and we're going to be replacing the roller inside of it. So the first thing we need is a Allen wrench and a Phillips head screwdriver. So we're going to take our Allen wrench and take this brake system off. There's two screws here on both sides. Flip the reel around, take our other screw off. Just gets this out of the way so we can work on it. Something else I like to do after we get the brake off is just go ahead and take the bottle off. Makes it a little bit easier to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the Phillips head bit. And we have 4 screws. As you can see, I'm missing 2 of them. That's kind of a common thing with Cajun reels. The screws like to come loose over time and back themselves out. But thankfully, they have a great warranty program, so you can call them up if you lose a screw and be like, hey, just mail me a new one, and they get it sent right out to you, no problem. So if you had all 4, you take all 4 out, but I only have 2 in there, so I'll go ahead and pop that cover off. And here's the wheel we're looking at. I'll go ahead and push this button, get this locked up in here, kind of make it easier to get it out, but you just have to wiggle it a little bit and it comes right out. And if you see, here's the reason we're replacing this. Is one of the old, almost originals. Let's see if I can get the focus. There's grooves in the old one and there's not in the new one. I had this reel a really long time, the lines just cut grooves in it, so it's time for a new roller. Called up Cajun and said, hey, I'm having problems with it. I need a new roller. They said, no problem. Mail me out a brand new one. So we'll go ahead and take this and put the gears down here in this hole. We'll line them up, kind of work them in. Okay, and then as you see, my spring for the button popped off, but that's no big deal. We'll just go ahead and slip that spring right back over the screw. A little bit tricky there. Got you a little Allen wrench to help you. Comes in handy. Okay, now we got that pop back over. I'm going to check this because if you saw in our last video where we have problems with the button sticking, so since we already have the reel tore down, I'm going to make sure this is snugged up. Not all the way too tight, but just snug. So that way the button doesn't have problems with it unclicking. So push the button, it clicks and holds. Check our last video if you want questions about having problems with your button sticking. But anyways, we got the new rubber roller in there, so we're going to put our cover back on. I always like to make sure to push this button first, so that way this little arm here stays up and out of your way so you get the cover back on there. But just lines back up on. Then we're going to take our 2 screws. Like I said, you should have 4, but this one only has 2, so be calling Cajun here after a while and having to mail me some more. But we'll just put those screws back in. Get those snugged up. I'm going to switch back over to my Allen bit, and we're going to put the brake back on. So we'll just line it up the rest here, and then line the holes up where the screw holes are. Tighten them down on both sides. So though, now that we have this back in place, we had issues with the line not wanting to reel up because it would fall in those grooves and just free spin. There wasn't anything to catch on. But back together, shouldn't have any issues. So we'll give it a test run. Real smooth. Good to go. Check our button, make sure that's working. Clicks over. Reels up. So that's how you replace your roller on the Cajun Winch Pro. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more Cajun Pro tips.